So, as Richard has found my Funky Doodler t-shirt, and we are the Funky Doodlers, aren't we? Aren't we? Yes, we are. So, we are going to do a Funky Doodler 5 minutes. Thank you, Richard, for the push. A Funky Doodler 5 minutes. Let's see if you can have a 5 minutes in your busy day to do some drawing. Well, of course you have. You always have. You must do it. Let's do a Funky Doodler 5 minutes. I love you. So, we are going to do a 5 minute idea, a 5 minute theory for all those extremely busy people that don't have any time in their busy lives. They're too busy walking the cat and washing the dolphin and things like that. But take 5 minutes in your busy day to sit down, make yourself a cup of tea and do some doodling. As in the Funky Doodler. Well, let's find a pen now. What have we got? Okay, we got some kind of brush pen. Doesn't matter what kind of pen. You could use a biro and whatever. And the whole point is to take 5 minutes to relax your mind. And one of the questions that I keep getting is how to improve, how to get better, how to kind of raise my status as an artist. And the best way is to scribble and to draw constantly. When you sit down for a cup of tea, when you're waiting for the kettle to boil, just even if you're just drawing like little kind of little boxes, and you're just kind of drawing little kind of shapes for people, you know, you can kind of get into drawing some beautiful little kind of figures, you know. And it's just a really nice way of just relaxing and thinking about poses, thinking about that type of thing. And it's a very simple thing, and you might find it so simple. What's the point? Well, the point being that if you actually go back later on, say he's, I don't know, he's bending over. Okay, so he's kind of picking up his mail. And you draw a pose like that, and he's picking up his letters off the ground, like that. There's his hands, and there's his head. Then what you can start to do is you can start to think, could I improve that drawing? Could I improve that little doodle, that little scribble, that little unimportant piece of artwork? I'm not going to be saying, hey grandmother, look at what I drew. It's one of those type of things where you could think, well, where is his balance? Where is his right? So if I was to possibly kind of lean that back a little bit, could I make that pose better? I'm not sure. Is it better? Does it look better? Or is it something where you're kind of leaning the hips further back? Maybe even tilting the hips. Let's get into it. Does that look better? You know, and you can start to work things out. Well, where's my center? Is my center there? And you can start to get into doing something where maybe you're bending down for you. Right, so my hip's going back. If I bend down, my hip actually does move further back. My hip moves further that way. So if I was to draw something, maybe the hips kind of like maybe tilting down but moving back, it gives myself a much more strong pose that I'm actually kind of moving my weight back. And you can start to doodle with it, and you can start to think, well, yeah, what do I do when I bend down? I straighten that leg and I loosen that leg, so that's wrong. Okay, so my hips are like that, but I've straightened this leg and I've bent this leg to give me some more leverage. So one of the beautiful things about that is that you are starting to now think about the position of. And now if I was to even move that leg slightly even more over, I would give myself the weight of moving back. So this whole point of kind of your balance point is there, and if I put my hips there and I straighten that leg and I bend this leg, it kind of gives me that whole importance of bending over. And it makes everything seem to be, okay, maybe I've done that too big on the body, but you can see that where I'm trying to balance something. And you can go on all day long. You're sitting down, kettle's on, you could start to do a running pose, okay? You could start to get into doing something with. And now all the time that you're doing these little kind of running poses, your mind is working overtime to simplify everything. And the more you simplify things, the easier everything gets. Now, one of my favorite things when we worked at Disney was they used to do this kind of life drawing, and they used to do it like in stages, and it used to be like, okay, we're going to do like a 30 seconds drawing or a 10 seconds drawing, and your mind is just going into panic mode when you're trying to draw something in 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you've done it. And you instantly start to go, wow, I created a drawing, a pose, and you know what they are doing in that pose. That's like a very happy running pose, and that's a little bit more of a kind of panic running pose, but still it's a running pose. And you've done it in 5 seconds, or 10 seconds, or whatever it is, 30 seconds. And then you bring it into 30 seconds, and your mind relaxes. And this is what the lesson used to be like. The lady or the man would kind of do a pose and say, okay, 30 seconds, go. And then you would start to draw. And it's a really, it's an amazing way to get your mind into doing something. Like, what about if you was in a fighting pose? Someone's in a fighting pose like that. Then what would you imagine? You imagine the body. And you'll also find that maybe if you're doing like a fighting pose, the first part you will draw is the body, the actual chest area. But if it's like a running pose or a jumping pose, you might start with the hips, So you'll find that you start to simplify the pose. When he's doing that, is he tucking his head in? Yeah, let's tuck the head down a little bit. So he's kind of protecting his face. And what about the hips? Is the hips am I bending my knees when I'm making that pose? Right, so let's do that. And very quickly, in like 30 seconds, you have drawn your pose. And everybody knows that he's in a fighting pose. So once you're sketching that, once you're drawing that in your cup of coffee break, everybody has got 5 minutes in there. Everybody's got 10 minutes in their day where they sit down, have a cup of coffee, or at night when you finish your dinner and you sit there for 20 minutes to kind of let everything settle before you start again. And you can change these little sketches into a full drawing. For example, the boxing one. Okay, well, just take that one, and we could just we could take that pose. Let's give him some ears. And I'm just following exactly what the pose is that I've done there. I'm going to try and tuck his head in. And I'm going to try and bring his shoulders up. And he's going to have like a big kind of fighting pose. And he's got another fighting paw there. And my little rabbit, who's looking rather tough. Okay, the hips are coming down like that. We're going to do his bunny tail, and we're going to give him some, we've got some bent legs there. And you can see how important that little sketch is. That little sketch has put all the information into my brain in like seconds. And that basically is a great way to work out whatever your drawing is that you're going to do. You know, I see a lot of people with their sketchbooks and they're doing all this elaborate, amazing artwork. And then they go and they have to draw it all again into their final piece of work. But a great way is to work out, especially with posing, in this kind of very simple form. So you could do your rabbit as a boxer. How is that? What is the pose? My rabbit as a running. Okay, let's do the running pose. This one. So we've got his ears that are being pulled back, and we've got a nice kind of rabbit, and he's very afraid of something that's chasing him. That's the expression. Now the pose. He's got his arms out, he's got his paws up, and he's shouting, "Help me! The big bad wolf is coming after me." And this is an amazing technique for adults, for children, for everybody, about simplifying down your drawing poses. And then you can see his little fat body, and you can see his, well, I've run out of paper there, but you can see what I mean. That is his kind of running pose there. That's his other leg over there. And you can see